A Flipped Classroom by Beth Sicoli. Taking the traditional classroom and flipping it. Students will take notes at home and practice the work in the classroom with their teachers and peers. My classroom used to look like this before I flipped it, where students would take notes during the class period, which could take 20-25 minutes. We would get through a few examples, and then they would be on their own to do the work at home, where they couldn't ask any questions from me or their peers. Some students would be behind because they took notes a little bit slower, and they had a hard time keeping up with other students, whereas some students would be ahead and they would be waiting for the other students to get done. They would be copying notes such as these on steps to solving equations, and again we would get through a few examples. Some geometry lessons or integer lessons have many vocabulary words where they'll be copying vocabulary words and definitions, and that could take an awful lot of time when they're not practicing the concepts, and math is all about practicing. However, with a flipped classroom, students could be watching videos at home, something like this from their computer.
For example, we know that 5 is equal to 5, but now if we decide to add 2 to both sides, the equation will still be true, but now it'll be 7 equals 7.
They can watch the video over and over again and copy the notes that they need at their own pace. They can pause it if it's going too fast. And then the next day in class, we could go over examples. The students can work in groups, as you could see here. They could ask me questions. They could ask their peers questions. And then this way they won't have any problems at home on their own. They won't have to worry about not understanding anything or not remembering how to do something, because they could have the help that they need right at their fingertips. There are many pros to a flipped classroom. The students can watch the videos numerous times for understanding. Students that are absent can get their notes on their own. They don't have to wait for the teacher to give them to them or copy them from a friend the next day in school. Students will be doing the actual work in class, so they can have their questions answered on the spot. Students don't have to worry about parents helping or not being able to help. Many parents don't remember the concepts that we're learning right now in math, and maybe they weren't very good at math when they were in school, so they have a hard time helping the students. They don't have to worry about that with the flipped classroom. All the students need to do at home is copy notes, which they can do easily on their own, and then do all the work in class. There are a couple of cons. There are internet issues. As we know, sometimes the internet's not working properly, or students may not have internet. The other con would be unprepared students, students that don't take the notes at home. And those are two things that we would have to deal with when the time comes. They could then take the notes in class if they need to, or maybe stay after school to get the notes that they need, and then they could get caught up. But those issues are minimal compared to what they could be doing at home when they're doing the problems and not understanding them. The internet not working or being unprepared could be fixed in school. As you can see, a flipped classroom would be beneficial for students. It can only help their learning, and it will be easier to understand math in the classroom with the teacher, with their peers. I think all teachers should consider flipping their classroom, especially in the math classroom where students can practice in class.